Alright, it's here. Back with another number. My name is Matthew Conley, your host. Before we start this off, I want to read a little bit from the Bible, get it kicked off right. I have made you a light to the Gentiles to bring salvation to the farthest corners of the earth. Wally, give us your name and a little bit about where you're from.
Okay. My name's Wally Miller. I'm from South Boston. I grew up in the projects. It was actually very violent. My father was an alcoholic. I have a couple of brothers, physically abused. His brother was an alkie. There was no love for me and my brothers. So at a young age, I mean, 6, 7, I took on the role of having to, you know, protect my brothers. So I would make sure the beatings would come to me. You know what I mean? And that went on for a while, and we seen stuff kids shouldn't see. Like we go through things we shouldn't go through. Like, a lot of, I've heard your story, and I have respect for your story and, what you're doing now. But yeah, I took on this role of, the older brother, try to protect them the best I could. But it was intimidating on a day-to-day basis. If we heard the work boots and you could hear my father come up the project stairs, I could feel my body shake and tremble. And the same thing with my brothers, and that just went on for years. My mother's a little tiny Irish lady, she couldn't do anything against this man who's, he's just a little powerhouse. He was a boxer and he was very violent and mean. He finally got sick of me. This went on for years until I was 14. He threw me out in the streets when I was 14, as I was telling you on the walk here. And I had to grow up fast, man. I talk about, even to my counselors here, I talk about like the first night of being thrown out of a house, being a 14-year-old kid. Imagine when you were 14, kids are playing video. Well, back then we had Atari and Nintendo, but they were playing games. They were being teenagers. I had to hide in a corner somewhere. I remember it. I went all the ways down I grew up in the projects, so I ran all the ways down to the beach and I hid behind a wall for the night because I didn't know what to do.
What age were you when your father first struck you?
5, 6, yeah. Remember, it's funny you asked because one of my brothers told on my father come over and he thought it was me and he hit me with a slam, man, and I remember having a bloody lip. I could taste it, and that's where we first got instilled, like, don't rap. And that was crazy to be that little. But I remember at 5, and then it just got worse. As the years passed, 6, 7, I mean, I remember getting my father hit me with a shot one time so hard, I think I was about 8, that I had hit my mother, and I knocked my mother, and we knocked the closet doors off the closet.
Wow.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's just no way to grow up, and that just went on, and just seeing the violence and being around the violence. He would take us to the bars with him and just be in places where I shouldn't have been, bro, thinking he's being a dad, like put me at the bar with a bag of chips and some quarters and a Pepsi.
Would you say you were like afraid all the time?
I was walking fear. I was just full of fear on a day-to-day basis. And I wanted to find an abandoned building down above this bar, Conley's. I don't know if you ever heard of Eddie McKenzie. He wrote the book Street Soldier, but he owned the bar, and there was a big building. He owned the whole thing. It was empty. I found a way to get in. I went up to the 4th floor, and I lived there for almost 3 years until they caught me living up there.
How
Yeah,
old were you
I
then?
14. I stayed there almost a year. I was like 15 and a half. Yeah, and he come up, and they must have seen us coming. Like, I would make sure I had this piece of plywood, and I would sneak in behind it, and I had a bed up there. No TV or nothing, but it was a place where I could be okay and safe. There was a stove. Everything was on. It was like God was watching over me and giving me what I needed. She was with my father. There was nothing she could do. She had no. She's like 80 pounds. My father's this little animal. There's nothing she really could do.
Was faith a big part of your life as a kid, or?
Faith became later, as like the calmness now you see is not how I was when I started. I met that guy, Mackenzie. I was telling you, 16 years old. He come up, and I was scared shit because here comes this guy, and if you look at his picture on his book, his nose is crushed, and he's a scary looking dude. And he come up and he goes, "What the fuck are you doing up here?" And I was like, "Sir," I told him the story, and he's like, "All right." And he pulled out a couple of 20s, and he says, "I want you to come downstairs. You take my car and wash my car." So here I was, 6. It started off where I take his Lincoln or his Jaguar, and I would drive it over to the Ponce car wash. I mean, you should see it was fucking crazy. And I'm taking his taking his car to the car wash, thinking I'm king shit. And then he got to like me, and I was like 16. It's on Ian Broadway, Conley's. It was a bloodbath. It was the place to go when you wanted to fight. You know what I mean? Or it was insane.
What's the craziest thing you've seen over there?
Oh my God, some of the toughest guys in Southie were coming down looking for another fucking dangerous guy, and they had I seen them all coming down with guns, and I was like, dude, this fucking, they're coming the back, you know, and I didn't know what to do. I was 16. What the fuck do I do? Excuse my language.
Right.
And they went out that door, and luckily, just as they went out, here comes these five lunatics I know that are probably our friends, but I don't want to, you know what I mean? Right. And just missed of probably murder. You know what I mean? Guns. I was just like, holy shit. And that's when I started to learn. It's weird. That's when I started to learn the difference in violence was like acceptable. Violence was people respect. No, people loved violence. They loved the people that were like these guys.
Yeah.
So from then on, it kind of like that's where I started like dibbling and dabbling in understanding and realizing that the way to survive and the way to get what you want and is violence. You know what I mean? And that really started to become a huge part. I got into boxing. I was really good. My boxing with guys you were away with. Bubba Conway was a fucking phenomenal fighter. Oh my God. Yeah. Oh God, I was a little late. I think I was 17, 18, but I took right to it. You know what I mean? Yeah, Bubba was there. His brother Billy. There was me, my brother Billy. It was just we boxed, and it was weird because we boxed behind Southie Court. Think of that. It was PAL at first, and then it turned into South Boston Boxing. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
did you get your gold?
I fought in the gloves. I didn't win the gloves. I went up all the way to the semifinals. Um, I had a hard time back then with stage fright. Always got nervous in the gym. I would wipe anybody out. But I fought amateur. I did good. I did really well for a heavyweight. Like I said, we messed around with martial arts. My brother's actually on. My brother. I don't know how that works, but my brother, he did it, and he taught me, and then I started learning Muay Thai, and just I did some of that, and it was just I loved the competitiveness, and then boxing was my love, though. I fucking love boxing, dude. You know.
Were you using drugs at all?
No, it's because of how I grew up. I never wanted to drink. I never wanted to drug. I never wanted to smoke cigarettes because my father smoked cigarettes. They stunk. I hated them. Anything my father did, I didn't want to do, and I managed to get to an age where I almost did, and what happened was I was boxing, and some guys heard about me, yada yada, and they would come up and watch me spar and see me pound some people around. And I don't know how it happened. I wound up straying down this particular spot in South Boston and started hanging around, and became a when I'm as I'm now that I'm older, I became a crash test dummy, running around smashing people for them. They're getting all these they're getting all this accolades, and everybody's looking good off of my me. I might as well have went to Volvo and fucking signed a fucking application to be a crash test dummy, but it's just part of living. And I'm not gonna lie, I loved it, man. At the beginning, it was everything I never had. It was the family I never had. It was the love, and it wasn't. And it was none of that. I never. It was all fake. It was all bullshit. There was just. I was always looking. Yeah, it was surface love. I was always looking for something because I never had that. I never had that simple love of a dad grabbing his son and hugging him and telling him he loves him. You found that in the streets, and it was
Gangster.
it was gangster in front of them, and alone after going on, say, a mission or giving somebody a beating. It was like real shitty feeling, real shitty realizing it's like fuck. And then the worst part is it's other people you grow up with, it's other people you know. And
So
I know,
was your view of yourself kind of changing as you went?
oh man, it started fucking eating at me, because just wasn't who I was. Yeah, it really did.
How did that affect you in your daily life, like the way you acted?
That's what I think started with the now that's where the drugs come in, where I would feel guilty. And one night, I'm out with these guys, and it's funny, they don't supposedly do this and drugs and that, and they're pushing me to take a couple of perks, and I'm just like, I'm scared shit of them things. I know what happens to people on them. feeling real lousy about my feeling. It was something, we went somewhere. I gave somebody a bad beating, felt like a fucking piece of shit. We all knew them. I knew it. It was just like, so I took the perks, and it's crazy. It was just two Percocets, and they said, "Oh, wash it down with a beer." And I told you, I didn't want to do that. I washed it down with a beer, and holy shit, man, that guilt, that shame, all that stuff was gone.
So would you say it was like addicting like
It
that?
was. It really was. And when it's crazy because I don't think you see it until like where we are now, where we're building and we're sober and we're working on it. It was really just like that. It was like all that pain, all that a lot of shame. You know what I mean? A lot of fear of just being a good dude. You know what I mean? But that wasn't working growing up in Southie or growing. It goes along with other places like it led me to starting to get pinched, and then when I would go to these, then I would go to county, I go to all these little county jails and I'd fucking, start with the cops, get blood, get sprayed, get fucking, I almost killed the kid I told you when we walked here, Nashua Street.
Yeah. So tell me about that when you were.
I was over in Nashua Street. I was in a car chase and I eventually got pinched down in Oklahoma. I was over there on a really high bail. And I don't know, I wound up getting my way, you know what I mean? I made sure I got a running job and made sure it was going to be, trying to, playing the game inside, being the fucking, still playing that, hey, I want that line job. I want, there should be this, and this, and I want to be this one. So I got the running job. I did that, I minded my business. I did my workouts, yada, yada. I was a runner one day. It's funny, and ethics of prison and all that stuff. One day, stupid me had my leg up, my foot up on a thing like this, and got in a little argument with the younger kid, and 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 I wasn't. I don't know. I got too comfortable. I think I was a little high on myself. I'd
Yeah.
probably say.
Yeah.
Had my foot up, and next you know, seven little kids try to jump me. I'm fucking banging out these kids. This kid from Mojave comes, runs over. He knocks over too. It's amazing how people say they'll help you, and they just stand there.
Yeah.
Everybody
Right.
was standing there watching me fight all these
Yeah.
kids. So
Seen
whatever.
it happen
Yeah,
plenty
it's
of
fucking
times.
crazy,
Yeah.
I grabbed this kid in a rear naked choke. I learned from my brother from doing some ground game, doing some Muay Thai. I get him where I want him in between the phones. I get him in the thing. I flip him. I get him to gasp. I
Yeah.
really get the choke in, and I'm choking this motherfucker. They're near me. They broke four of my ribs, collapsed my lungs. I still wouldn't let go. I remember there was this little fucking captain over there, Diaz. He go, "Hey Ben, Wally, he dead, man." And when I fucking heard that, bro, I was puked,
Yeah.
first of all. And everything must have hit me at once, realizing that my lung collapsed. They busted a walkie-talkie over my face. So I fucking let him go. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I got up and put my elbows down. They let me to try to breathe. They must have known I was fucked up because they easily got my hands behind my back. They called an ambulance. I was in Mass General for a couple of weeks, dude. But it was, it was still have that fucking animalistic, like, I have to impress them
Right.
because if I go upstate, I want to be fucking, I want them to know that I'm, you know what I mean? And I knew people, I had connections. I still had respect from boxing because people, loved me. People that knew me would do me favors. I lucked out in a lot of beefs, man, and it never got to where you had to go.
Yeah. So do
But
you know what year it was when that was all happening? Was
that
this
was
like the
like
Whitey
2000.
Bulgin era?
We took, but now I was hanging with the guys that were running stuff when Whitey ran.
Okay.
That was in '95. I didn't get hooked on Whitey screwed in '95, '96. And so a couple of years after that, the guys I was hanging with, they were doing everything. They were shaking everybody down and stuff. So that was early because I'm 50, and yeah, I was young then. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And strong as a fucking ox, dude. Like two shirt teams. As I'm choking him, I'm not letting two. I'm flipping. I'm flopping. They're doing knee strikes, breaking fucking walkie talkies
Yeah.
over my
Yeah.
head. Somebody they use it as a fucking training video
Yeah.
for what to do when you can't get an inmate off another inmate. So
Yeah.
you can imagine, because me and you are you know what I mean? We relate with a lot of
They
things.
used one of my.
Yeah, man. And I became a person I never thought I would be, never thought I could be. You know what I mean? But when you really don't know what's going to happen when you're at that, I'm just a detained. I'm not a convict
Yeah.
like a lot of guys, But I've been in every little county jail
Yeah.
and pulled all the same shit and just got hated and fucking. I remember Dedham was like, "Keep it up, motherfucker. We're gonna ship you until fucking that you get lost." You know what I mean? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Because people feared it, and it was another fucking high I got off of. You know what I mean? Yeah, yeah,
As soon as I was starting to get hot, I mean, as soon as I would about to get into a fight, I get that like
yeah.
that rush where you feel like
It
if you
feels
were already
awesome.
high on something
Right.
else, it would kick it in.
Yeah, our endorphins are going out of their minds.
I was a big fan of
Yep.
so what age were you when you first started going to jail?
Everything happened late. I didn't get into. I got into oxys at 24, 25. I was working the big dig. I had my son Brendan. I said I started the big dig. I was 24, 25. Yeah, I says I'm not gonna drink. I'm not gonna drug. I'm gonna work the big dig. I'm gonna hang with these guys and just on a low key. I won't let her know. And yeah, and everything was going good. And guys were getting hurt in the big dig, right? And they were talking about, oh man, you can want to make some fucking great side money. And they were talking about thousands of bucks
Yeah.
and not getting like, not having to do a score, not having to like do anything where I'm going to get pinched. And myself off a freaking, I threw myself off a landing, but I made sure I could land soft on a spot. And I went to this doctor's office, dude, and he started prescribing me. The first visit was insane. 90 OC 40s, 150 perks to breakthrough, and I didn't even know what a Valium was. And you know, I pretty much sold them for nothing.
Yeah.
But I was making this crazy money, and I started selling my pills. And I'm talking, you wouldn't. It was like you sold them for $40 a piece. It was insane.
Yeah, dollar
So,
milligram.
right, so 90 times 40, picture that.
Oh yeah.
So I'm fucking killing it. Then I'm buying everybody's off the job. But then we're working so much as, even though you're younger and you can, you know, you got all this rah, 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 you get tired. I got a little baby at home. I'm trying to work all these hours. We're working 6 days a week. I think we were working 5 12s and 1 9. And I would take like little pieces. They like, and I would get this energy and happiness. It was like when I was doing the perks and stuff and hanging in the bars with the guys. This was different though. When I got a taste of the Oxycontin, I didn't want to drink. I didn't want to do anything. I just wanted to friggin' eat the oxys and sniff them. You know what I'm saying?
So were you getting high out to just get by, or were you getting high just to?
I thought I played it like it was bullshit, man. I wanted to get high because I wanted to get high, but I was using the excuse that I'm working all these hours. I got a baby, and it was all. I wanted to get high. It felt fucking unbelievable. I had the energy of it was insane. Like I could just go and go and go. We weren't married, but we had already been together for years. She has my first son, Brendan. I have a he's 26 now. I have a 21-year-old son, Jared, and I have a 9-year-old daughter. Last time I seen them, my daughter was 2. My kids are infuriated with me because of in and out of jails, um, in and out of detoxes, in and out of their lives. Like I broke their hearts, man. You know what I mean? They it was good because anytime I used it, their mother was like, "You could go." So she was able to. All my kids they had great childhoods, and it's not because absolutely nothing to do with me. Their mom is 100%. She's dynamite. You know, as much as she left, we grew up to Southie together. I chased her when we were like little kids. She used to go to Cotton Cushion, bro. It was crazy. She's like, I don't dig punks. I'm talking, she was 14 and I was like 17. And I loved her so much, I chased her and I get with her and I screwed it up. You know what I mean? My drug addiction took away the girl I loved, my first love, the only girl I've ever really loved. My kids that I love tremendously. Yeah, I miss them. It kills me just thinking about it. But it took the last few years of me being out of life to realize I'm glad they're doing well and they're doing awesome. No drug addiction, thank God. Their mother is just, she's the
Where'd you
same.
meet her? Yeah.
Yeah, we grew up together. We hung. It was funny because we all hung in the Condon in D Street behind the Condon. There was like 50 of us. You know what I mean? We used to play football back there, and we had a field that had all rocks in it, dude. We'd be playing tackle football. We'd just be hanging out. Life was just simple and nice, man. And as I got older, and just you know this, my environment just molded me into something that I never wanted to be. You know, so.
So now you're going in and out of county jails. You're
Yeah.
using oxycontins.
Yeah.
Are you still fighting?
I'm trying to, yeah. And what was it? I was in the gym sparring one day, and it was just nah, bro, come back when you're clean. Like,
Yeah.
we got kids, and I had to respect it. We have kids coming, we have guys coming bringing their kids here, and I was like,
How do you know
you could see it in me. I
Yeah.
got blue eyes and I
Yeah.
got no pupils, you know what I mean? And I'm kind of like wild, and I kind of
Yeah.
beat it's kind of fucked
Yeah.
up. I kind of beat my chest and like a fucking asshole.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I would go down. I changed it. I would just, excuse me. I'll go down the L. I would still work out because that was what everybody was attracted to. I was 245, 250 pounds, and never did the juice. I'm cranking out 315 like it's. And this is a guys. Anybody that sees this video is gonna be like, yeah. I used to hit the bag down the L, and you could hear it from the woman's side of the L.
Yeah.
Right, boom, boom. I'd be fucking ripping into that bag. But I stayed in shape for that, you know what I mean? Until I couldn't stay in shape no more. Until I was introduced to heroin.
Yeah. So before you started using heroin, was your oxy habit to the point where you just couldn't afford it anymore? And
Yeah, I
how
was
old?
so 25, 26. So I started using 25, 26. I got away at 27. 28, it started getting bad because the big dig lasted for years, right? 28 started getting bad. I was doing 8 or 9, 80 milligrams a day, but I was stealing. They knew I was stealing stuff off the job. They started putting cameras in.
Mm.
Um, I left my fucking $1,400 Motorola radio in a bar one time in Southie. When you come out, it's funny. You come out of Andrew Station, the Sports Connection. I left it in there one night. Um, yeah, and then there was a big drought. I had connections all over the place. Nobody had them. Nobody in Charlestown, Oh yeah, nobody had them in Charlestown, Dorchester. So I went up my brother's one day. I couldn't go home. I was fucking puking. I was dying. I'm like, what the fuck's the matter with me? And my younger brother was a heroin addict.
Yeah.
And me and my brother didn't believe it, but we kind of had an idea. Like, so
Did they know you were sick? Like,
he did.
yeah.
He said, "Oh, just lay down here. I'll call Don Marie and tell you here you're not feeling good." Fucking a day goes by, it's getting worse, bro. I'm like running to his bathroom, going diarrhea, I'm puking, and he's like, "Dude, man, I can't get any oxys. I don't know what to do for you." He goes, And he comes back. He goes, "You can sniff this, but I'm scared you're gonna be fucking, it's gonna be bad, dude." And he went and got a couple of bags of dope. I sniffed the 2 bags of dope, man. I literally, I couldn't. When I tell you I couldn't move, Matt, I I was crawling to the bathroom, puking, shit my pants.
Mm.
My brother gave me those 2 little bags of dope because they were wax bags back then.
Yeah.
I sniffed them. I got up. I went to my wallet. I gave him 100. I said, "Go get me fucking 10 more. Here's another 50. Get yourself some."
Yeah.
Dude, from that day on was a horror show.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
fucking. So your friend gave you
My
heroin.
brother.
Your brother.
That's my
Wow,
little
yeah.
brother Paul. Yeah.
Oh my.
And he didn't want to do it.
Yeah. He
But
just
it was
saw you
like
sick.
watching. It was
Yeah.
going on day 2, and we're coming up on day 3, man. I'm crawling out of my skin. I'm fucking like, what can I do? I'm in his house with his girlfriend, and it's just like, yeah. And that caused just that was it. There was no going back to fucking OCs, man. Even when there was no going back.
You can't really blame someone who's
No.
not in addiction and kind of doesn't know. They just
Right.
see someone hurt and really
Right.
bad and know this is the only way they can help them. Because shout out to my mom, I love you, and I'm not trying to,
Yeah.
but my brother, she had like Tylenol threes at one time, and
Yeah.
he was like real dope sick from the perks and stuff
Yeah.
like that, and she just didn't want to see her son in pain and was like, here, will these help? And like, they didn't do much for him,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's sad, bro.
Yep.
That's one of the worst things that you could ever see someone go through. How did you feel when you were sick? Like, explain being dope sick.
Oh my god. We had my fingernails hurt. I don't know if it makes any sense. My teeth hurt, and that didn't make any sense to me. But I swore my teeth hurt, so it was just my nails. I was ice cold and then hot. I couldn't move. Everything in my The worst was when at night my legs would be going like this, and I'm like, why are they doing that? And I would fucking be punching them, and I'd be all black and blue, and it was the most terrible thing ever. Diarrhea, you're puking, and all this time you're like, one little pill or one little bag of dope's gonna get me off feet. It's
Yeah.
insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what really caused me to start addiction. Like, where I knew I was addicted and I wanted to get high, because like, you wake up and you're sick and you know that all you have to do is that
Yeah.
one bag and you feel like a new man again.
Yeah.
And it's like, that feeling right there of getting off E and getting that going from sick to high is like that right there is where it kind of like hit me, and I was like, okay, that feeling is what I'm looking for almost,
Right.
you know what I mean? But, so you're running, you're using heroin now, were you shooting it?
Not yet, but
So explain what happened after you started sniffing it. Like, what was the progression like?
immediately it was 8 months, 9 months later. Dude keeps shaking his head with me. I'm like, kid, I'm getting high with this kid Kevin. We're in Dorchester now. We're at some kid's apartment. This is where I'm able to stay at people's places and stuff. I'm just lucking out. And he was an IV unit. He went in the room. He's like, you're wasting it. He goes, you're wasting all that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm like, what do you mean? And so that was in the back of my mind. And one day, all I could get was a little bit. I couldn't afford it. And I'm like, I don't know how to do it. Will you show me? He's like, what the fuck, dude? Like, I'm like, so he did it for me. It was nothing like sniffing it. It was immediately unreal feeling through my whole body. It was, it was insane. It was insane. And sickness was gone. And I was just like, wow. And I chased that. I don't know if it was, right away I learned that night. I was in Southie hanging around. It was late. I didn't want to go back to the apartment. So I went into, this is how it was back in the day. I just thought I could do whatever I want. Walked in the answer house. I said, I'm going to sleep on the couch.
Yeah.
And I fucking slept on the couch. Woke up in the morning. I went in the bathroom. I had a rig and I shot myself up. And that was it from then on. I said, I'll never sniff it again. And I didn't. But that was, it just got worse. Methadone clinics, fucking stealing cars, sleeping in cars, living in cars, hot boxes, not taking them, getting them, going to the car wash and getting them cleaned that are fucking stolen and living in them.
So when you started, where were you living at the time?
I was in Dorchester at this kid Kevin's house. This friend of ours was letting us stay in his place because I think he was in LA or something. Yeah, so we would crash in there. That was those guys. I wasn't even hanging out with those guys anymore. All kinds of stuff was going on about people getting arrested. So I was trying to stay away from them. I was trying to stay out of Southie.
Who were you hanging out at this point? Like,
With the worst of the worst, bro. Any grime you might. I went from hanging around with some of the most dangerous guys around to like straight just junkies, like myself,
Yeah.
Not I'm no I was in where I was at, no better than me. I just hung around people that were strung out, people that got high, and people that we stole, we robbed, did whatever we had to do to get off feet. And it was a fucking chase, man.
So how long was it before you were like homeless, or were you ever homeless?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, tons of times. It was once she kicked me out, that was it, man. And people, because of how I acted, I went into Station Six one time, and the cops were looking for me because I got in an argument at a bar with my wife, my girlfriend, and I flipped over the table her and her family was sitting at. So one of them went and said, "Oh, we're going to the police." I said, "Go to the fucking police." So I was drinking and eating. I was drinking and getting high. And I went over to the police station. I says, "You fucking looking for me?" This is how insane I was. They're like, "Yeah, we are." I said, "So what do you guys want?" I want to get myself pinched. I did shit like that. But my ego was like, it was insane.
So, like, now your identity shifted from fighting to using,
Yeah.
and you're an addict now.
Yeah.
What was your train of thought on a daily basis? Like, what was going through your mind? Like, do I have to get help? Should I
No.
check into treatment?
I didn't know anything about treatment back then. I just wanted to get high. I'll be honest, I was stuck in that. I just wanted that feeling every day. And when I would try to get clean, I'd go in a program and I wouldn't take it serious. I'd be a clown. I'd be in there, worrying about getting a haircut, washing my sneakers, just um, not trying to work on the inside, just cleaning myself up on the outside, and it never did anything. I'd leave and I'd get high. I'd go to a halfway house, play games, go to, chase, going around to meetings and, for all the wrong reasons. I wasn't being, what do you call it, to my girl. I was being a scumbag there. It didn't matter if I was using, it didn't matter if I was sober. I just couldn't get away from that. I deserve to feel good. I deserve not to be sad. I deserve not to be happy. And a lot of it was anger and rage, man. And I had that for so long until I get beat down, and I wound up I wound up coming back from the Cape, getting sober. The union paid for all these fancy places. I went horseback riding, I went hiking, and I played it all as a joke. I stayed a little bit down the Cape, in a sober house. I played games down there. I didn't do the right thing down there, you know.
So what was the driving force of your addiction?
For my addiction,
What was the driving force, the thing that kept you getting high, that
realizing the mostly realizing the pain I caused my kids, and it was hard to live with. I couldn't understand why I loved these kids so much, but I would consistently get high, and I would start to feel guilty, and I would start to think about it, and I couldn't deal with it. I never really sat down and did the program how it's laid out. I never did the 12 steps. I never lived a clean until now. And that's the only reason my life's going well now is because I do what I'm supposed to be doing. You know what I mean? But I never did that. I always cut corners. I always lied. I always cheated. I still stole. I didn't do anything correctly. I didn't keep it simple. I didn't get a sponsor. Didn't go to meetings. Didn't participate. And yeah, this time when I came back, I left the Cape. I heard somebody say I'm going to Quincy Court. I says I'm getting a ride with you. Left all my clothes, came back here knowing nobody's gonna let me stay with him. Even though I had been sober for a little bit, I said I have to come back. I got to do something to see my kids, and I want to hit a couple of shelters. Stayed sober. I'm staying sober for all the. I hit a Boston Rescue Mission. I wanted to stay in that shelter for a little bit, and then I started going to meetings, and it was called the Pilot House. It's a well-known meeting in Southie. Started at this guy's house, and this meeting was just some of the. There was cops, lawyers, gangsters, movie stars. I'm not shitting you. Some of the. This meeting was amazing, but it was a meeting with guys and women who didn't know how to deal with life on life terms, who didn't know how to deal with fear, anger, insecurity, and that meeting changed my life, bro. And I would go and I would make the coffee. I'd go back to the shelter at night, and I found out during my stay at the shelter that they had a program. I went upstairs to their program, and I just did dynamite. I fucking graduated their program. I donated a year and a half of time working for free there. They wound up giving me a job, and last year I lost all that because of I don't know. I don't know what happened, but they lost everything because of money stuff and just something I don't even want to get into because it infuriates me. But and I relapsed after being sober for a long time, bro. Like good, like I had been sober for a long time, but I would say like 8 years of awesome doing the right thing, not sneaking around, taking this, not doing that, not stealing. I got baptized in New Hampshire. I went up to New Hampshire. I got baptized. When you got the Bible, I started turning my life and my will and my love over to God, and that was it for me. And I started
so
working with the program.
like did you reach your hit a rock bottom after that?
I was homeless for 2 weeks. I was bouncing. I was staying at my buddy's house. I hate cigarettes, and I'm so grateful I hate cigarettes. It's so crazy because the story's fucking, it's funny. He let me stay there on the couch, and the weather was freezing. I'm feeling shitty about myself, and I was staying at his house. After living in the sober house for years, I had lost that. No consideration. They just pushed us all out the door. We had nowhere to go. And the cigarette smoke, and I started sneaking drinking, and I think I was taking some pills here and there, but I'm not a drinker. All of a sudden, I got addicted to vodka. I got really sick, and the smoke was making me sick. He smoked, and I said, can you drive me to the train tomorrow? I'm going to go to detox. I put myself in detox, bro. It was so hard this time because I had been sober for so long. I hadn't drank, and I don't even know how, like a long, long time. So from detox, I got rushed to the hospital. They thought I was dying. So I detoxed the rest of the detox in the hospital. I was there for 13 days. They were trying to say I couldn't go back to CSS, but I had a connection. I called them like, please, I can't go out in the streets. And I told them the situation. I went from the hospital to CSS, was there for 37 days. Dude, I started making my bed and going to meetings and said, I'm not going to be in there. I'm going to participate when I want to and when I don't want to. I said, I'm going to try, stop being a fucking asshole. And I did that for 37 days. Then I went to transitions. I was trying to pull strings to go to the aunt's house because I wanted to go where I want to go. That didn't work out. Some reason I went to the Hope House. Now, where I am, I fucking love it.
Yeah.
I'm doing my groups. I'm doing counseling. I'm going to school now. I'm learning how to use computers. I'm going to be doing a work program to learn how, I'm either going to take HVAC or commercial cleaning to be like working in the schools. Just I'm taking opportunities that are out there for me that I never took. You know what I mean? And the only reason they're out there and they're out there for me is because I'm going to my meetings at the house. I don't hang with anybody that's. I'm doing like you are, man.
Yeah.
I'm trying to stay sober. I want to stay sober. I like going to the meetings. I try to get the best out of them I can. I don't lie to people. I don't cheat. I don't take what's not mine. And I'm learning to be okay with myself, man. You know what I mean? I just blew so many opportunities, like, you know what I mean? And it sucks. Like, I was like, used to run around with a music group, just all the opportunities, like all this stuff, like my boxing. It could have been so much different if, you know, if I, things didn't, if my path didn't go like it did.
Yeah.
And unfortunately it did, but
What's the most important part of your recovery today?
helping other people, man, because I get help by other people. Like when you first got there, like you had came from the joint, and me and you clicked off right away. And when I knew you wanted to stay serious, that helped me. And then I watched. For me, people are my big book. Love how you do this thing. This thing is fucking unbelievable, bro. This is like I told you. I watched John Berthenol. I watch real ones. I watch and I hope and I believe in God. I hope this people watch this. I hope people know how much you love this and how much you put into it because this is like they may think, oh, we're on here and we're just recording something, but you're working on this all day, dude. This is hard work for you, and I watch you. I see you doing it, and that makes me strive to do what I'm doing. I'm going to school. All those things teach us to be a better man. I love it that I'm the same way. When I wake up in the morning, I ask God for forgiveness and guidance and just guide me through my day. I thought it was funny one day, and I've been in like every county jail there is. You know what I mean? But I was always, always trying to get that badge of honor from. I wanted everybody from my town to know that I'll do whatever it took to be prideful. That's crazy, man. We look. Oh, I've watched it like kids I grew up with. I've done time with. Oh, I can't. Oh, I did a county bid. Oh, I'm up with the big boys. I did a state bid. Oh, I'm going to the feds. And like, it sucks that we wasted so much time.
It sucks that people like it's cool.
Right, and it's not.
Shit.
Yeah.
It's the worst thing you could ever do to somebody or go for yourself.
Right.
But yeah, I mean that was I enjoyed listening to your story like genuinely, bro. Is there anything else you want to put in there? Anything that people should know about you?
Um,
Anything you want to say to anybody else?
No, just keep watching my man's thing. Make sure you hit the like, throw some comments up there. Make sure you share it because this kid's got a story. I'm telling you. Yeah. So thank you and someone's buying it. All right.
Thanks, brother.
You're welcome.